Dave, what's the latest on this one?
Moving closer today, Chelsea in advanced talks with Atletico Madrid over the signing of Joao Felix. Manchester United and Arsenal, as we've been talking about, had been interested in the player, but the numbers just became a little bit too big for them, and they're now looking at other targets. Joao Felix was part of the Atletico Madrid side that played against Barcelona over the weekend in La Liga, but he has got a difficult relationship with the manager, Diego Simeone, and that has been the catalyst, really, for this move coming about. It's going to be a straight loan for 6 months. Remember, Atletico Madrid signed him for around £120 million in 2019. This is now his opportunity as Joao Felix closes in on that move to Chelsea.
So then, Olivia, is this the signing that Chelsea needed to make in this window?
Yeah, I think Chelsea are going to be linked to possibly a player in every position in this transfer window. And I think everyone will look at Chelsea and go, they need a number 9. However, I think they really do need a creative midfielder as well. Chelsea have really struggled to create any real chances. Now, Kevin Hatchard spoke on this show yesterday about how Joao Felix would fit into Arsenal, would fit into Manchester United as well. So I'm sure Chelsea fans out there will be hoping that he can fit in at Stamford Bridge as well if this deal does actually eventually happen. The one thing I would say is that he is very similar in stature to Kai Havertz. You know, Kai Havertz is playing as a number 9, but for Bayer Leverkusen played as a number 10, almost out wide. Joao Felix is a number 10 as well, and Chelsea don't always play with a number 10. You know, under Graham Potter, we've seen a 4-3-3. We have seen a 4-2-3-1 as well. But where he fits in, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see if this move does happen. I think Chelsea have relied quite heavily on Mason Mount to be their creative player, and when that doesn't work, it's almost like, where do these goals come from? So
what are we doing here? You've spent
300 million.
Yeah, nearly 300 million in the summer, and you used the word needs. Needs. I mean, come on, there shouldn't be any needs. But I completely, look, statistically, completely backs up everything you were saying. Because look, Chelsea, we know, are 10 points off the Champions League places, but you look at the number of shots they've taken this season, they're 16th. In the Premier League, just in terms of shots they've taken. In terms of XG, I know it's not the most popular stat, but in terms of, you know, not just the quality and the number of chances this season, they're ranked 50th. Nottingham Forest are higher, Leicester are higher. They're only just slightly better than Everton. That's not a Champions League chasing team. So they don't just need someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. They need someone that's going to create really good chances as well. Is that Joao Felix? Because Joao Felix, we look at him as a £100 million player. Well, what's he done over the last couple of seasons? He's never broken 10 goals in a season at Atletico. He's never had more than 10 goals, 10 assists. He's never had more than, 5 assists in a season at Atletico Madrid. And we're talking about a £100 million player. He's had more yellow cards than assists during his career for club and country. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, so in terms of, look, it's a really interesting thing with Joao Felix, isn't it? Because we all know he's a talented player, but we judge him as a £100 million player, and he's coming in with a price tag for a loan fee that suggests that still is market value. Chelsea are going to have to do a lot of work to get that out of him in a short space of time.
Say 6 months is obviously not a long time, and there's no option or obligation to buy at the end of it. So I suppose it is a risk in a way, because it is a player we've seen, you know, especially at Chelsea, players that have come from other leagues and just haven't necessarily adapted to the pace and the physicality of the Premier League. So it is a risk. But again, I would say 3 goals in their last 7 matches. 2 of those are when Reece James was on the pitch. He's one of Chelsea's most creative players. I
mean, we talked about goal scoring, we talked about creating. I actually think he can do a little bit of both. And as for fitting in, Graham Potter is a head coach that likes adaptability in his players. He can play, Joao Felix can play up front, he can play as a kind of shadow striker, number 10, he can play out wide as well. He started 7 games this season. I know there's been a number of substitute appearances, but has registered 7 goal contributions in La Liga. He ranks 3rd at Atletico Madrid for expected assists per 90. He's 23 years old, still got his best years ahead of him, and he's got a point to prove. I mean, he played against Barcelona, yes. I mean, his body language was all over the shop, but that's because he doesn't want to be there. Yeah. He will want to be at Stamford Bridge. This is his chance to show the world that he is a £100 million player. And you saw him in the World Cup. I was actually quite impressed with Joao Felix in the World Cup. He really wanted the ball. I mean, it was a stark contrast in body language at the World Cup than it was in that game against Barcelona. And he's missed a lot of games as well over the last couple of years because of injury. Now he's back fit. There seems to be question marks over his physicality maybe, But actually at the World Cup, I thought he looked really robust. I thought he was able to bounce off players, run through players, and he was actually looking quite impressive. So this is his chance. This is his time. So it's a big pressure on him, but he wants to be at Chelsea.